Let's dig in. First question I had, which Cindy, I think, answered correctly, but a lot of this is aimed at Barrington has an existing zoning ordinance. It's reasonable, but it needs some tweaks. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do that by the time this project ends, the organized part of this ends. So what, in regards to the zoning ordinances, what's the actual goal of what we're trying to do?
The way we set it up was that we wanted to do it, started earlier enough in the year that you could come up with your adjustments and plans, and then the planning board could have the whole summer and fall to look at it in time for it to be brought to the warrant articles and then be voted on in March. So we backed it up to figure out the timing just right.
But this official program ends in June, right? That's our last meeting.
Right, which is because that's what you needed for you to know what you wanted to change and what you wanted to focus on.
What Paul's asking is, what's our homework assignment for June? Because it won't be complete the warrant article. It'll just figure out what we would like to recommend, I think.
Correct.
Okay.
We're going to be offering up the recommendations.
We've
that
had
then
it
get
off.
discussed. Correct. Yeah. Okay. And Sarah did send you a whole pamphlet after that. After each event, she sends you all the homework for each month. So it should be
right. Right. No, and I got the best practices and been going through that. How should that read? So what I've got here, I made a spreadsheet comparing the what's it called? The baseline document. And what was in the baseline document for Barrington. And it's all pretty easy stuff for us. It's verification. I was a little bit confused. He has a bunch of references to links that all seemed, I thought it was all links to our town report, and that's not very useful. It's not.
Just to say, just so you know what you had.
It's not. Some things, so he linked to the town report because, well, for example, that's the only place that he could find where we have documentation of the number of solar installations that are taking place over the year. I don't think that is listed anywhere else. So what I am thinking of doing is, so for a lot of these, let's look at them. Post an online checklist detailing permits, submittals, and steps of your community's permitting process. So this is a process document. Normally that would go to the building department. I don't know that we will be able to talk them into updating their website to include things like this. But we can include this on the energy stuff.
Yes. And you don't think they would want to because...
I don't know that they have the people to work on their site.
Okay. So some things you could ask SolSmart for are, do you have any simpler, easier ways to get it on there? A lot of towns have a first page that just goes into all of these things, and then you click on that where you want to go. So that's like a little bit separate. But I think SolSmart would be able to ask, because you're not the first ones to have this challenge.
Okay.
So I think they would help you.
I'm assuming it would probably be acceptable to have it on our site. And then in that case, we could put it together. And we could, we do need to have, we need to put together a policy document explaining what the steps are. We're also probably going to be asked, in Barrington, as it turns out, there is no separate application for a solar installation.
Okay.
It is allowed by right, a rooftop solar installation.
Yeah.
But it's the process, and Jack knows this, is that it's all part of the electrical permit. And there's nothing on the electrical permit that says solar. Okay. So it all goes into the other category.
I think, Paul, I've been thinking about this. I think that the way to approach this is to go to them and say, hey, look, we think we should have a separate permit. Why don't you let us take a swing at it and let them approve it? And that way they don't have to do anything.
I agree. That I was thinking the same thing. And we can use that document you sent. I don't remember what town it was from. Right. But that we can use that as an example and add or subtract from it. Yeah, I don't have.
If you think about it, like the select board and most of the leaders, communities are, their job is to say yes or no to something. So yeah, exactly. If you say, here is the thing, we've done the work, can we do this, yes or no? That's the appropriate. If you say, can you please create something new? They're gonna be like, it's not
Right,
their skill set.
well, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
Yeah, and your work just being, the select board means is enough work, sorry.
Let me check this. I don't know, I'm not gonna bring it up because I can't find it at the
Great.
moment.
Yeah, I think those are great plans. And some of the details, you can ask your planning board. Some towns are able to put group things together, like this new solar ordinance, yes or no, and some have to, I don't know exactly how, but you have to ask them how exactly, sorry. But when you do the voting, I've seen different situations. I don't know enough about planning myself to know, but I do know you can say, are you in favor of this? It's just that if somebody doesn't like one part of it, they might vote no for the whole thing. But find out for sure how complicated it can be.
Should have been recording this, and I forgot to.
During this time.
Okay. I'm now capturing everything you said,
Great.
and I've been stuff already. Permitting checklist.
Yes.
We have nothing like that.
Great. Give me one.
Okay.
And that's what they're gonna help you with.
That's very similar to the process guidelines.
Yeah.
It should follow that more or less exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
They gave us didn't you, I think, there's a lot of material from SolSmart, which is good, but
Exactly.
there's a lot of it.
Yes.
Isn't there like
There's
there's like a fill in
there's
the
a
blank
template. There's a
template, yeah.
And we got one from someone. I did a comparison of the two.
I remember we do have for town cities like, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting the name? It starts with P.
Peterborough?
Thank you.
Aspirational.
I know. Always feel free to go to their
The
website.
proper nouns go first.
Just see that it's, just to get an idea of like what they've used and done because they've gone so far.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. And I did this comparison between whatever document it was that I was looking at and the SolSmart checklist, and I outlined the differences. This was all, AI assisted, of course, which I couldn't get any of this stuff done if it
Right.
wasn't for that.
Well,
Yeah, no, it does. And
I think that was Bethlehem, wasn't it?
yes, it was. It was Bethlehem. Yeah.
Yep.
That was very useful. And I do have, and it wasn't the permit application that you provided was from Bethlehem as well?
Well, they only have this solar only permit. That's it.
Right.
Yep.
And that's what you gave me. I think that might be a good model for us. What we should put forward to to John and Jamie.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. That's pretty straightforward. So I don't think we really need to go through each one of these items.
No.
What do you want in terms of, when it says verification needed? Do you know what Zach was talking about there? What specifically? So realize I am not someone who really cares about points.
yeah, exactly. And you don't need to. If you're excited about having it because it's nice to say and you can present to the town, hey, we're bronze, that's great. But when it comes to that, there's a lot of things. So I brought SolSmart on board. I've done a lot with them, but I have not done the details of it all.
Okay.
So that my town is doing that, and I'm happy to connect people. But that's what I was saying. I'm like, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to help you guys much. So it says to get the verification
On all of this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the most common. You can see in all of this, it's all verification needed.
So I don't know if they mean verification from SolSmart to get the points, or if they mean from someone in the community. I don't understand. So
Okay,
that's a great
that's
question on
something for
Thursday.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and even then, you ask her, she asks them, she tells you. So because we aren't planners, We don't do this. We don't know. And it's just, we're just trying to get you the information you need from SolSmart.
Okay. I think that's most of what I wanted to go over. I did look at the document you sent me from Zach on the glare.
Great.
Sorry, what was
The
that?
glare.
Oh, the glare, yeah.
And it was difficult because all of the references, it was hard to pull references out of there, but I did get them. And they were all going to NREL. And you go to NREL and they're gone.
Okay, I'll let him know that. I can do that.
But you can pull them out of the Wayback Machine if you're familiar.
Oh, cool.
Interesting, okay. But that we're referencing in that you don't have what you need, I will definitely bring it up to tell him that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've run into this, so for the education documents, I looked for those as well, and they're in there. So we can basically get back to most of what we need, but it's a little bit more arduous.
Right, okay, I will let him know that it's not there.
The weird thing is that if you have an AI doing a summary, they seem to be finding it somewhere. Because they can have references and they actually fit what's in there.
Because it's got a memory, so it's going back through all the information.
Also, they generally were trained in the past.
Right, so they're grabbing it from where they have it, not from current. But in time,
That is really
terrifyingly
weird.
Yeah.
Right.
That answers most of my
Okay,
questions.
so your biggest question is what is verification and who does it?
Yeah, and we can just ask that.
So, Paul, just so I know what, I think I know what we're doing. With our homework, as I understand it, is we're supposed to get a checklist so that any contractor or homeowner can look at it and go, oh, these are the things I need to do to get solar going.
Right.
We're supposed to make some recommendations about future warrant articles to make our zoning,
That's a little
Align.
further off. That's by the end.
yeah, not immediately, but this is
Ultimate
global goals.
yeah.
And we actually meet bronze criteria if we decide we want that, other than we need verification for some of the items on there, right? Like we had enough points.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there were any mandatory things that we were missing. I haven't been paying attention to that, but we can figure that out. I'm sure
Yeah.
that it looks good for the Energy Committee if we do
Yes.
get the certificate.
I agree, and you'll have a little ceremony, you'll have a little thing, and you can point to it, and you can say, this is the moment we did this. It's silly, it gives people a moment to say, oh, that's really cool, we did something.
Yeah, well, it like PR matters.
It
And,
does.
Well,
And you can't just be like, we went and we did a few little things.
it goes in the town report.
Correct.
It look,
And that's why they do it. They do it so that you have those.
and I'll tell you, it's getting harder to come up with things that we've done now that funding sources have done.
Right, well, this is our last year of a lot of things. I was gonna ask, because you said you're in facilities, do you also do anything with the highway department or the public works department? I don't know which department.
Do anything or everything.
Okay. So have you
I'm part of
looked,
the,
have you looked at the VW funding that's available, the diesel thing?
about a year or so ago, we had a vehicle that qualified,
Okay,
and we had, well, more than that, we had two vehicles that supposedly qualified, one didn't. And then at the last minute, the second one was no.
and was it something that's changed since then? Is it something that we could? Or is it just
I'm not sure that and they want you to destroy the engine and all this stuff
Yeah.
before you ever qualified for
No,
it.
no. So,
Well, this is the way the road agent interpreted it.
okay, so let me tell you.
And that was a year ago.
And you can ask the road agent to talk to town if they want, because we've had a lot of successful ones there.
Who's that?
Town of Lee.
Oh,
Steve
yeah,
Bullock, yeah.
yeah, Steve.
So we
Peter
actually,
Hoyt, I know Peter very, very closely.
and Peter loves the new trucks we got.
Yeah.
So we got two brand new, beautiful, gorgeous dump trucks for Town of Lee, which we could never afford
Yeah.
without this. At a time with, and this was anyway, the point is, you don't touch those trucks until your brand new truck is in your hands and you are driving it. Then you destroy it. And I actually have the videos where you can see the brand new trucks are in the pen, and then it was really fun watching them get all destroyed and stuff. And what Steve did was he literally offered to every community around, do you need a dump truck door,
Alternator,
elevator.
commissioning it,
They
yeah.
were just skeletons left.
What is this program?
So you're replacing
It's
old,
a lawsuit that was against Volkswagen.
Yeah.
so now the
Oh,
money's
it's part
going,
of that.
yeah, the
Oh.
money's going to, replace the old, especially the
The
things that are
line,
before.
line, the thing that lied about the.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah.
those funds cannot be taken? That's
is about-
But they're trying to use everything up quickly because no one's trusting anything, so it's
Yeah.
$5 million right now. I would just check, and I would just tell them again, I spoke to somebody, all that really has to happen is it has to fit within those years, so
Yeah.
2018.
I don't remember what the years were now.
So check that out, and remember, if
Yeah.
something doesn't fit that grant, the second grant is coming out for Clean Diesel Program,
Uh-huh.
DERA, so if you don't have, like, a lot of people communicated with me, and we look on that, we're like, that's not gonna work, but when this comes out, you'll be ready, so let's just get that prepped.
Yeah.
But that's not due until this, VW is not due to the end of May, and I'd love to help with anything, I've got a lot of these to go through.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can strip it down, all you have to do is just prove at the end, you destroyed, and they, sometimes they'll come out, they had to come in at DES.
I knew Black did this through Connor, and
Yeah.
this is what the criteria he held him.
What were the requirements for the old vehicles to qualify?
So they have to be between a certain number of years, you could
Yeah.
use them a certain amount, they have either have a certain number of hours or miles, depending on what they do for work. And then, they have to be in working order, so like I have a ton of towns that have perfectly working engines on fire trucks, but their chassis is broken.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that doesn't work.
That's not gonna fit,
There's
yeah.
no other funding for these
Because the
trucks,
point is
so-
to get rid of these.
And I assume this didn't
things.
apply to school buses?
It does apply to school
Oh,
buses,
it does.
doesn't it? Isn't this one?
I don't know.
One of these
I knew-
applies to school buses. You know what? I have a picture that's really cool.
I knew that one time we had two trucks that qualified,
I
and
have
then one
a,
of them was sold or something, so we ended up with one that qualified or something. Then supposedly that didn't qualify, so.
this is all the ones that, so it starts with class 4. So the first 2 don't, but it has like all the ones below, like the
VW made all
buses.
these big machines.
They don't, they just
They
have to
don't
pay
have
for
to
them
be
to be replaced.
Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Oh,
None of them
oh,
are,
oh,
yeah.
No, they don't have to be a Volkswagen.
Oh, they're just
product.
paying to.
They paid they settled the lawsuits
Part of
with
the
Right.
cash,
Oh, good.
money, and
Good,
New Hampshire
finally
got some,
justice.
and
So we have like dump trucks, fire trucks, we've got school buses, we've got the medium, small tractor, semi-tractors,
I'll
like
see.
delivery things, any walk-ins or like anything that's like a,
Wow,
yeah.
see, I didn't realize it was that broad.
Yeah, so just peek, and I've helped people write the
Yeah.
grants, I can help you with the
Okay.
energy part of it,
Yeah.
just, I know what the words are looking for,
Yeah,
I'd love to help you with that, and that's something you can do.
our public works director is retiring as of May 30th.
Could you say, hey, you're not gonna be here, can we go ahead and,
I can talk to
Apply to
him and
this
see what we can do.
'cause
Yeah.
I would be
We
happy
were
to-
in the understanding it was all over with, so.
No,
Yeah.
No, that it's come around, we
You know
really
what's,
look forward to it.
what Barrington likes?
What?
Free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah, we
they
like
pay
free.
they pay 70% on a diesel, and they'll pay 90% if you change to an EV. So that's that's like
Basically,
right, yes.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about, I don't know what to do with this thing,
Yeah.
you can take all the parts out
Well,
you
if you
want and
salvage
just,
the parts, you might even get 100%, huh?
yeah, you're not supposed to
Possibly.
sell, you're supposed to get them for free.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it.
I mean, everyone's checking up on you, but my point is,
Yeah,
you're supposed to, in the honor,
Okay.
in the honor, like to honor.
All right, fine.
But we were
I
able to make a
don't
lot
know
of
if Barrington
deals.
wants to go into the scrap business.
Yeah.
yeah.
But we made a lot of really great connections, because, someone's like, man, I have that truck and it's
Yeah.
perfect, I just need a new axle or whatever. Great,
Good.
take it out, you come on down by, you get it, it's yours.
Wow,
So he might like that, because for me, the
Yeah.
hardest part was, they were like, but I love that truck, I've had that truck since the 80s, and it's like,
Well,
that's not.
there was some of that,
But
man.
Yes, bud.
when they get past the low of the truck, and they realize you
Yeah.
can still use parts of it, and
Yeah.
then they can get it for 30%
Well,
price.
there's
Yeah.
some value in not just trashing stuff that works, but yeah.
The love of the old one went away real fast. The second that Bonnie sat in the new seat and drove during the snow plow, he's like, it didn't break down once, the whole door. So,
Yeah, wonder who got the new trucks?
what?
Wonder who got the new trucks down there?
Well, so one of them was it Peter or
Oh, Warren.
Warren? I think it was Warren.
Oh, Warren may have got one.
One of the, so that was the one he drove, and then the second one came right towards the last storms. So they're so beautiful.
He's retiring.
Yes, it's heartbreaking. We're trying to get him to run for select board.
Oh, that won't happen.
So, no, we'll see maybe.
Wow.
Just tell the person there too, it's not just the truck, it's the parts that have to come with it too. So we had the plow and all the bits and pieces. We got everything was part of that deal.
Yeah. Wow. I know Peter very well.
Talk to him about
He's
it.
worked on my tractors.
Do you think we could get this to apply to any of the school bus vehicles?
We've talked
Aren't
about
they
it
leased?
before. I don't know about the school bus vehicles, because they're not owned by us.
I know they're leased, it's a very weird.
The people that lease it
complicated
should be
relationship.
applying, and if you can encourage them to do it. There is a different set of school bus funding that we're looking into that might be coming around again too, which is also helpful. And they'll let us do a package where you do 25 together, and then towns will break those into parts.
Oh,
And if you're leasing, then the company often, it depends on how it's run. If it's all a for-profit business, it's different than if it's municipal managed, I don't know.
Yeah,
We can check that.
it's a profit business.
yeah.
They just signed a new contract.
But they should be applying for whatever they're available to get.
Yeah.
Who knows? Most buses on the road are not the age that this one has to be. I think it's
Yeah.
2008 or older, and that's a really old school
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most schools don't
No,
tolerate that kind of
no.
bus.
Okay,
But if you had that, you could get it. But the dump trucks and the other trucks are.
Yeah,
okay, you would know better than I would what it looks like, but.
yeah.
Tell them you hold on to your thing until the brand new one is in, and
Yeah.
as soon as you get that new one, and you write the check, you send it to them a month later, you'll have that money.
Yeah, see, that wasn't what we were told.
Well, they were wrong.
And they got through, came from Connor, wherever he get it.
It just got, it's like telephone, it gets lost
Yeah.
sometimes. But I work directly with Jack and Mac
Yeah.
at DES. I inside out on these things, and that,
Mhm.
I know way better than I know SolSmart planning board.
Mm,
So, yeah.
that's great.
Right, so give it a try again.
Okay, I don't think I had anything else. Let me just see if there's any other documents here. So Cindy, the immediate thing that we've got to work on is that checklist. And I think that we also want to work on the permit, the modified permit. And I'll run it by John and Jamie and make sure that they're good with it. They can make any modifications they want. Hopefully they will be happy with it.
And by it, we're talking about the Bethlehem model.
The permit, which will be, I think will probably be based on.
So
that.
how do you want to work on that? Do you want it all sit down at, I guess, a public meeting and just, how do we go about that? Like, how do we do that?
Well,
You can work on a draft, you just can't make decisions on it.
right. It has to be presented at the committee meeting.
But you, Jack and I could sit down and come up with a draft or no?
Not three of us.
Yeah.
Just you and I, or just Jack and you or
Just
something
two
like that? Okay.
Or you can have,
Crazy. Okay, so either
So,
Cindy and I or Paul and I, let's look at that permit and make our changes and then.
Well, it seems like
and then
Jack,
bring
you're
it forward.
who probably has
Yeah.
the most to bring forward as far as the permitting. So I mean, that's stuff you deal with all the time. The checklist, I think Paul and I can probably, if we want to divide it up, you and I can probably handle that. That's pretty straightforward, I think. And
Well, so I'll send you a quick email over the next couple of days with items that should be on the checklist off the top of my head.
oh, awesome.
Have you ever done a checklist in any towns, Jack?
Well, so no, but if you look at like an Eversource application and a New Hampshire rebate application, they both have requests for specific items, and all those items are relevant.
Okay.
So it's not hard to put together a list of like required documents and specifications, right? I'll try and work on that tonight and generate a quick list.
It's not an emergency. It doesn't have to be tonight. If you could do it by tomorrow night,
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Jack, while you're really busy, did you talk to Ted about the RFP and Lee?
No.
All right, check on the Lee website. It should be out by now for the RFP for the library. I know you guys wanted to bid on that.
Okay. All right.
I mentioned it to Ted when I saw him at the solar.
All right.
Sorry, totally off topic.
Not a problem.
that's it. I'm
Okay, thank
done.
you. All right.
Thank
All
you.
right. Hey, Paul,
Yeah,
could you do me a favor?
maybe.
Could you wander over and talk to Jamie about the status of the library permit? There's the placement of the ground mount that I assume has to be approved by planning or some zoning or somebody.
Okay.
And
You
I
want me-
gave him, that was submitted 2 months ago.
Oh, you've submitted it already and you haven't gotten a response.
Yeah,
didn't
but
go-
it stopped, right? It stopped because of all the entanglements.
Yes.
Because of all the bidding that had to go on.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
I'll make sure they've started looking at that again.
okay, great.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeff,
All
when
right.
are you back?
Tuesday night.
Are you driving or are you leaving the vehicle out there again?
No, we're leaving it out here again.
Okay. Okay, well, enjoy your trip.
All right, thanks. See you guys.
Talk to you later. Bye.
I didn't think the ground mount was gonna be within the 15 foot buffer.
It's not.
And
So
we
do
don't
we
have to
need
go to
any-
zoning.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. I was like,
We don't need to go to zoning. We need a permit.
I think that's what he was asking, Eric.
Yeah, that's, assuming that this is in Jamie's purview, so it would be
Yeah,
permitting.
And we'll have to go to the planning board, I believe. Tell them what we're doing.
Okay,
That's what they told me before. I don't think things have changed since
you need a conditional.
Town
permit for
meeting?
that? Is that what the issue is?
it's a site plan deal.
Site plan review?
Yeah, site plan review, because we didn't talk about that when we talked originally with the planning board about the change of use of the
There was
building.
no ground mount.
There was no ground mount, we talked about it at
Right.
the time.
Yeah, so it's
So it's a site plan review.
site plan
Okay.
review, okay.
Okay, well, we can mention that to John.
They had said that after town meeting that may change and we wouldn't have to do that, but I don't think so. I think we still have to go to the planning board. So,
It's what, I mean, unless there's something complicated, it would be one short meeting.
Yeah.
That would be done.
I would think
there's
so.
no-
well, we gotta go to the planning board, you gotta notify all the abutters and all kinds of stuff, but
That's true.
we don't have to pay for that.
I feel like Susan said you didn't have to do that. I mean, maybe she's not the ultimate authority, but
Yeah,
she had
Susan-
checked on that.
Susan was working on this, and plus, town planner's gone now,
Right.
they're interviewing for him now, but for a person now. But Susan was working on that part of it. So,
Maybe Jamie will have some information.
Jamie will, yeah,
Okay.
but that whole thing was put on hold because of the bidding and all that kind of stuff. All that snafu.
Okay. See what Jamie has to say. If it has to go before the planning board, that's where it goes.
Yeah. But I think we were in the spot that we didn't have to go to zoning. Get a variance, I don't think we need a variance.
No, I
Yeah,
think
it's-
I agree with you, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the array isn't going to be in the, in the setback,
15-foot business,
15
yeah,
foot
something like that.
setback, yeah.
then I don't see why.
The neighbor, Charlie Marino, said he didn't have a problem with it being in that setback, but we don't need to go that route. if we
Yeah,
can
let's
help
just
it.
not-
That's just it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if Charlie says it's fine.
Yeah.
It still would have to go.
Oh, yeah,
before
still
the
gotta go to zoning, but we don't have to go that route, it's better.
The reason I'm leaving it too is for this, the webinar. So if anyone's interested in it, please, to know the actual rules. That's actually good time for that. Do you want this?
No,
No, thank you so much.
we are about to break and I'm gonna go talk to Jamie.
Perfect.